it's a curriculum vitae, which is a Latin term meaning course of life. Your CV is a written overview of your skills, your education, and your work experience. But that's not all. That is just some of the information that needs to be in there. CVs are also used for a variety of reasons. However, the most common reason is to send your CV to prospective employers when you are looking for a new job or a job. Okay. Basically, your CV is your corporate identity. Everything about it tells potential employers who you are as a potential hire. I can tell so much just by looking at somebody's CV. So I'm going to open the floor immediately. In the chat, Nicole is working with me, so she is monitoring the chat. So I'm going to jump right in, and I want you to think and tell me, what do you think your CV will tell me about you? Or what do you think are some of the things that a CV will tell a potential recruiter? So let's see in the chats. You can also unmute your mic and tell me, and then also mute your mic again if you prefer it that way. Okay, a CV can show your personality. Yes, how long you stay at one particular company. So Stephanie, what do you think that, so if we go past how long you stay at one particular company, the length of your employment at a particular company, what does that tell me about you? I can definitely tell people's values. Thank you. Yes, Nicole. Your dedication. Yes. So definitely, Stephanie, when I look at your CV, I can tell if you are, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Or if you are going to be the person that says, if the going gets tough, the tough tap, or you tap out. Okay, so it's a lot about commitment as well. Your qualities, your skills, and your past experiences. Yes, also varied interests, definitely. Okay. Welcome, Renee. Contact details, employment history, achievements, education, and training, definitely, Tanya. But what I want us to think about is what a lot of times the recruiter, the person receiving your CV, will read a lot of what you don't say. But yes, definitely your contact details, employment history, achievements, and education and training will be on there. Okay, so now we have some ideas, abilities and skills. Okay, there it just says unknown user, but yes. So a bit of more of the things that won't be written on the CV is values, dedications, and your personality. So let's go on. Let's move on. Remember, your CV is your corporate identity, and everything about it tells me who you are as a potential hire. So I want you to keep that in mind, that last little bit, as we go through the rest of this training session. Okay. So session 2, before writing your CV. So now we're going to get into the practicalities of compiling your CV. So before writing your CV, you first need to know and understand the basic elements of a CV. So you have to go and do your research. What do I need to include in my CV? The basics. This is just the basics. You haven't tailored it yet. You haven't edited it yet. This is just knowing the basic elements. Then you brainstorm. So this picture that you are seeing here in the center of the screen, this is just a little brainstorming that I did. So I just did this for my CV, but basically all of my training sessions start out with a little image like this, with a little brainstorm, okay? And a brainstorm is where you just put everything that is in your brain on a piece of paper. So you just get all of that out. So it takes it from being abstract to being visual. After you have done your brainstorm, you look at the position you are applying for and you choose the brainstorm items that are most relevant to that position. Consider the company that you are applying with. So you are looking at the position that you are applying for. You are considering the company that you are applying with. And you must do your research. Okay? Read through the vacancy advert and pay attention to the application requirements. And then you start structuring your CV. Okay, so let's look at each of these points in a little bit more detail based on my brainstorm of my pictures. I'm going to use myself as an example, but I want you to consider this for when you are writing your CV. So when I'm looking at the position that I am applying for, let's say I am applying for a leadership or a management position. When I was applying to become the training and development manager, I looked at my brainstorm and I was thinking, okay, my education, I did a little bit of a makeup course and a little bit of skincare. I'm very into dietary and fitness. I also studied theology. Okay, so which one, okay, theology and counseling. So which one of those will be most relevant to a leadership position or a management position? Okay. None of them are 100% relevant, but the fact that I did study counseling and theology, and within that there are a lot of leadership attributes, that would be the most relevant. If I go and I look at my work experience, so I waitressed myself through university. I worked a little bit as a receptionist for a hairstylist. I did a little bit of matric and wedding makeup. Then I did some admin. Then I was a study leader for the academic institution where I was studying. So applying for the position of a training and development manager, would listing makeup as work experience be relevant? Is that in line with the position that I'm applying for? So this is what I'm saying when I say look at the position that you are applying for and choose the brainstorm items that are most relevant. Okay, when we move on to considering the company you are applying with, so this is a very, very important point. So if you are making notes, I want you to write a big NB exclamation marks next to this, considering the company you are applying with. This goes hand in hand with doing your research. Okay, so this is what is going to make your CV stand out. Okay, are you tailoring your CV to this specific company that you are applying with? Look at their corporate color. So this is actually a good idea, a good tip that Nicole brought up yesterday. where she said, you know, they should consider making it like the corporate colors of the company. Tailor your CV to the corporate colors of the company that you are applying with. And it doesn't have to be the exact color, but it will make your CV stand out. Okay. If my corporate colors are blue and red, but my competition's corporate colors are green and gray, would it not be better to apply with a blue and red CV to my company or for a position at our company? Okay, so that's one of the things. Consider the company you're applying with, their corporate colors, their culture. What is important to that company? If that company is supporting the SPCA and they are constantly feeding the animals and doing game lodge outreaches and things like that, and they are showing a big passion for the fight against animal cruelty and encouraging, not saying encouraging vegetarianism or veganism or such, but showing that they really value nature and wildlife. Will you be putting hunting down as one of your hobbies and interests? Will that be helping you or hurting you in applying for the position? If they say that if the company's culture is all about sports and playing volleyball and participating in health initiatives and doing the cancer runs and the Blitskit and the getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be at the robots to help with the winter nights. If that is the culture, are you going to put in your CV that you like relaxing and watching television and sleeping in? Or are you going to consider that, do I like these things? Is what is important to them also important to me? Am I a good fit for this culture? And if I am a good fit for this culture, 50%. I'm a 50% fit. I'm going to list the 50% that makes me a fit. I'm not going to list the 50% that doesn't make me a fit for the company. Okay, so it's important to do your research and tailor your CV to the position and the company that you are applying with. Then when we get to things like your cover letter, so we will get to the cover letter later on in the session as well, but who should you address your cover letter to? This is part of doing your research, okay? Who should you be addressing your cover letter to? If you go onto the company profile, you will most likely be able to get either a contact number or an actual profile of the recruitment manager. If you can't find that, go that extra mile. Phone the company. Say, you know, I want to apply for this position. I want to write my cover letter. Who will I be dealing with? Who should I be addressing it to? And you address it to that person. And then ask if you're not sure. Can you please mute your mic? Thank you. If you are unsure, ask if the person you're addressing your cover letter to or your email to or your application to, is it a male or a female person? Yeah, I have spoken to potential recruits who have called me sir well into the process. And even if I sign off Mrs. Luzanne Pretorius, I still get addressed as thank you, sir. So make sure who you are actually speaking to. Okay. Then we go on, read through the vacancy advert and pay attention to the requirements, to the application requirements. And the first thing you need to ask yourself is, am I qualified? Am I qualified for this position that I am applying for? We get instances where we are advertising for audit managers. So I'm advertising for an audit manager. The requirements are that you have to be a qualified CA, you have to be a registered assessor with the PAAB, you need to have at least 5 to 10 years of experience in a similar position, etc., etc. And out of maybe 100 CVs that we receive, 4 or 5 people will be qualified. Okay, and I'm not talking about you have 3 years experience instead of 5 to 10. I'm talking about we get teachers applying for audit manager positions. It is a completely irrelevant degree or qualification to that position. Okay. So read through the advert and pay attention to the application requirements. And then you start structuring your CV. So now we're going to move on to the structuring of your CV, and we'll stop at the end of this slide to see if there are any questions. So although there's no official structure, certain key elements should always be included. The first one being your personal details. Without personal details, I cannot reach you. I cannot contact you. I do not know who you are. Okay, so personal details. This includes your name, your surname, your marital status, your ID, your passport, or your nationality. That's actually very important, especially in Namibia, where it is extremely challenging with the restrictions and the regulations surrounding work permits, work visas, etc. So make sure you put your nationality in your CV as well. It saves everybody time. Okay. Your telephone number, at least 2 telephone numbers if it's possible, but you can indicate which one is the primary one, and an email address. Okay, you don't have to give me your home address. I'm not going to come have coffee with you, but just your email address and at least 2 telephone numbers. A personal statement or cover letter. Okay. With this one, your personal statement or cover letter, make it personal. Make it personal. Know who you are addressing it to. I've had, I think I do mention this later in the training as well, where we have candidates who are applying for multiple positions at multiple companies. And sometimes things get a little messed up. So I may be getting a cover letter that you intended to send to another firm or another company. But you tell them, but you tell them that they are your first choice, or you are not considering that is, you are so passionate about joining their company, you are only applying there. But I'm the one getting it. Okay, so make it personal and tell me a little bit about yourself. It's like we saw here in the chat that your personality is what I want to see already in your personal statement or your cover letter. Because remember, I'm seeing that before I'm reading the rest of your CV. Okay. Relevant key skills. With a proven track record that you actually have those skills. Okay. So, relevant key skills. If you are applying for a position in leadership, okay, being a good leader, being a good delegator, if it's true, you can list that you are a good delegator, because not being a good delegator in a leadership position is going to make you a micromanager. It is going to make you a burnt out employee. Leadership skills, I am able to lead teams effectively. I am able to effectively listen and solve problems. I am able to identify potential problems before they arise and come up with solutions. So this is relevant key skills. Always make your skills relevant to the position. And make sure it is true, because it will come out very quickly if it was not true. Work experience. Okay, so this is still everything that the key elements should be included in your CV, right? So your work experience listed in reversed chronological order. Again, the work experience that is relevant. If you are applying for the position of a level 1 trainee, okay, babysitting your neighbor's kids when you were in grade 7, it's not a relevant work experience. Okay, don't be careful not to put something on your CV just for the sake of putting something there. Me being a waitress does not have anything to do with me being a manager now. Okay, part of what I did while I was waitressing was I did do some front of house management, but not really enough to qualify me to say this is going to prove to you that I'm a good manager. Okay, so relevant work experience listed in reverse chronological order. Reverse chronological order means your last job that you had or the job that you currently have will be listed first on your CV. And the first job that you had, so that one you had just out of high school, or if it's relevant, babysitting your neighbor's kids, that would be the first job you ever had, and that will be last on your CV. Okay. Education and qualifications, again, listed in reverse chronological order. Means grade 12 will be right at the bottom. And then your certificate, then your diploma, then your degree, then your honors, or however you are qualified. So in reverse chronological order. Your hobbies and interests. So if you have attended, I saw some familiar names, seeing as we're not having video. If you have attended or maybe watched some of our previous sessions that we've uploaded onto YouTube, one of the things that we keep coming back to is the change in corporate, where it's gone from profit-oriented to people-oriented. Okay, a lot to do with emotional intelligence, and we did a studying recruitment session also based on culture, and culture being your actual recruiter. And the hobbies and interests of your prospective employees is what is building your culture. And in that training, we actually said, hire to fit your culture. Okay, so that is why hobbies and interests are so important, because if I have a company and I expect my employees to be up at 7 o'clock in the morning and we're all going to run the Arvis X Trail and we're going to participate and we're going to have big external shows of what a good team we are, I will hire and I will look for somebody who's going to come in and add to that culture. Not somebody who's going to come in at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's not like we do it every weekend, but be like, oh, I can't believe we have to do this, and I'm so lazy, and I just want to lie on my bed and watch TV all day. So your hobbies and interests will add or take away from the culture and the human aspect and the ability to build good, strong professional relationships in the workplace. So always list that on your CV. Okay, references. As a recruiting manager, I can tell you now that if you put a reference to me and you say available on request, there is a, let's say, about 80% chance that I'm not going to consider you for the position, because you are already giving me work. You are already giving me extra work, being inefficient, having me take action to get information from you that I would expect to already be there. Unless you didn't want to give it to me, and there's a reason for that, and then you thought, oh, this woman is not going to attempt to get these references. Okay, so do not put references available on request. Give at least one reference. And when you are giving the reference, always also give their title and their contact details, telephone number and email address. Okay. You cannot give me a reference for a leadership position and the reference that you are giving me is your receptionist of your previous work because you treated them nicely. Okay, so references, always add at least one reference. And inside tip from recruiting, we do check your references. And in a place as small as Namibia, in different sectors or different industries, we all already know each other to some extent via networking, etc. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions on before writing your CV. Anyone? Any comments? Any questions?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, as a student, I just wanted to ask, how can, like, as they don't have experience in past work experience, like, how can we set up our CVs?
You say that you are straight from university and you do not have any work experience yet. And that is being honest.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it is, we are not overcomplicating things. A lot of times there will be experience, can be 0 to 5 years, or they will say no experience needed. Just mute the mic again, please. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback. Okay, I think. So yes, you just be honest, and you can say, so we'll touch on that later as well, to say, I don't have any work experience at the moment, but that is only motivating me so much more to gain experience and learn from your esteemed company. Okay, but never embellish and never lie on your CV. I see here Stephanie asked, should you give a reference for all companies worked or will two do? So generally, unless you are really mature aged or unless you are job hopping a lot, we wouldn't expect to see a lot of positions on your CV, but should you have worked at more than 2 or 3, me personally, I would expect a reference for each company. There's a saying that says one person will tell you I'm amazing and another person will tell you I'm terrible. Believe them both, okay? Because that is how you get a holistic experience. I actually saw an advert of another company busy recruiting now, and I absolutely loved it, but it is a little bit of competition for us. But they said, we want to hire the whole you, the real you, the whole you. And that includes, because maybe you left because of personal differences or conflict or something like that, and you might feel that you don't want to list that or a reference because that person might not like you. But remember, we're not going off of just one reference. The more reference you give, the more reference we are able to call, and the more holistically we are able to get to know you, get to know your work ethic or your work character, and draw a realistic conclusion. It's easy to put your favorite people and where you were the favorite. Okay, does that answer your question, Stephanie?
Hi, Luzanne.
Yes.
Charlene here. I
Hi,
just
Charlotte.
want to ask a question. When you earlier
Yes.
indicated for applying for a position, you say, okay, I would like to apply for an administrative clerk position. Now, I have experience in administration like for more than 5 years. Let's put it 5. It's actually more, but let's put it 5. And then I've got experience in finance and administration of more than 4 years. Now, my CV is very, very long. And I wanted to know, say for instance, I want to apply for a position as an administrative clerk, right? Do I only put on the administrative positions that I've had, or do I put on the finance positions as well? Because then I've got a CV which is about 5 pages long, because I've been in the working industry for some times. For a long time. I'm a bit older. I'm like 44. So now I want to know is because I have sent my CV to a recruitment agency, and then they indicated to me that my CV is very long, and whoever the company, then they get bored basically, because this person is, but it, for me at that moment, I feel that I want the employer to see what I'm capable of in the different industries. As for instance, I've worked in a retail, I've worked at a university in a procurement position, which means I have 7 years of procurement experience, hands on. Then I've worked, then I went to the UK, and then I've worked at I've worked at a newspaper where I have finance, and with finance, administration is always there. You always have filing to do. You always have, that type of thing. So the financial and administration part I have. So that is in a newspaper, for instance. Then I went for as a specific finance in an NGO position, and then I went back to a retailing where I had 2 years experience as a supervisor, an administrative supervisor for 2 years, and then I went. After that, I had 7, 8 years experience in a parastatal environment till last year. Yeah, do you see what I mean? For
Yeah,
me, so
sure.
basically,
Yes.
yeah. So
I
for me,
think I
it
can.
is. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm
Oh,
just
okay. Sorry. Yeah.
mindful of our. No, no, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm just mindful of our timing, but I think I
Yes.
have the picture to answer
Yes.
your question. So, what I would do in your position, or what I would recommend, is that you still only list the relevant job experience, right? So, that would be the administrative parts, not necessarily the financial parts.
Okay.
But within your cover letter and your
Okay.
personal statement,
Okay.
you can say that although not included in my CV,
Okay.
in this version of my CV or included in my shortened CV, I
Okay.
also have diverse experience in various other fields, including but not limited to, and then you can maybe name 3 or 4. Should you be phoned or approached for an interview, that would most likely come up because it will show where you can grow into the company if that is what they are looking for. Does that
Okay.
answer your question?
I kind of sort of have an idea of that as well. Yes, yes, I
Okay.
kind of. And then, sorry, on the references as well. I also wanted to know, because it's different institutions. Do you do I have to, just for the administrative parts, as I'm going to shorten my CV, do I just include those references for
Yes.
the administrative? And if the company is not existing anymore, what does the person do there?
You can say that this was, yes, so you can say that this was the person that I worked under, but the company has ceased to exist. So you still give the person that you worked under, but you also mention that you don't have their contact details because the company ceased to exist. It shows me, or it will show a recruiter, that you know what's supposed to be on there, or you know what is expected. It's not an oversight.
Okay. All right. Now, wonderful. Okay. That answers a lot. Thank you.
Great. You are welcome. Should one put a picture on their CV? I actually do prefer it. Yes, I do like a nice picture on your CV, but one in good taste, a professional picture. Not one that you took, I almost want to say like a selfie with your friends and you cropped yourself out. So if you do have a good quality professional picture of yourself, definitely. But also don't let it overpower the rest of your CV. If you have worked in one company but different departments and different managers, should you include all? No, you don't have to include all of them. You will include in that scenario either the latest person that you worked under, unless, so if it is almost like a promotional growth, right? So you have developed and you have grown. Obviously, you show as a potential good recruit. But if you are jumping from one department to a different department to a different department to a different department, my question is going to start being, were they just, and this is going to sound very, I don't mean it as mean as it sounds, but it might be like, are they just like shifting the problem around within the company? Does that answer your question? I don't know, that's an unknown user. Okay, so, but then I would usually contact the company and ask to speak to your HR. That is how I would actually, as a recruiter, handle that situation. State my relevant skills, articulation, more questions, how can I reach you? So right at the end, my email address will be on the final slide, and you are welcome to contact me if you have any questions after on there as well. Okay, if I have a picture on that's fine, passport side. A color page can definitely be colorful, as long as, yeah, sorry, the cover page can definitely be colorful, and that's where we come back to tailor making your CV to the company that you are applying with. Okay, but do not copy paste what I'm doing, or copy paste something from my website, just so that it can just be an indication. So for instance, a lot of the templates, let me quickly say that. So on Microsoft Word, you actually get very, very nice CV templates that already has colors on there. And it might seem that it is a lazy way to go, but for me doing recruiting, I'm seeing it as an efficient way to go. Like, you knew about a template, you are using it correctly, and you are saving yourself a lot of time, which means you might be saving me a lot of time. Okay, so definitely you can have a colorful CV cover page, etc. I cannot answer you on the cover letter requirement for government jobs, unfortunately, but I will make a note to look into that for you. Okay, and then I can get your contact details from Nicole, but unfortunately I do not have that information right now. Okay, so let's move on to session 3, writing your CV. Okay, so firstly, you create your layout. What am I going to put where? Okay, then you do your cover page. Please put your name, your address, your telephone number, and your email address on your cover page. Okay, With a CV and a lot of other information, it can get lost. So while it will be on your actual CV, also included on your cover page. Okay. Your personal profile. Who are you? Okay, who are you? So your name, where do you come from, etc. What can you offer the company? Okay, what are you going to bring to the table that is different than everybody else? So let's say you are a new recruit or a newly qualified person, okay? And you are competing with people with a lot of experience. And the job market is tough currently. So we do have very senior qualified persons applying for junior positions. What is going to make you stand out as a newly qualified person from somebody who's already had experience? Okay. So something that I would say is, what can you offer the company as a newly qualified person? You could offer fresh insights that the senior or the longer or older qualified people are not necessarily aware of because they qualified like 10 years ago. So you could bring fresh perspectives. You could be more connected to the younger demographic. So that is something that you can offer the company. Okay. What are your career goals? Are you looking for a job or are you looking for a career? And there is a difference. A job, you will come in, you will get a salary at the end of every month, you will be working here for 10 to 15 years, maybe for 10 months, maybe for 2 months, and then you will move on. A career is, I want to start somewhere and I want to climb a ladder. Okay, so at the height of your career, where do you see yourself? And if you apply for a receptionist position and at the height of your career, you see yourself to be the best receptionist that Namibia has ever seen, that is okay. It is okay to just want a job, as long as you are honest and upfront about it. Okay. Your education and your qualifications, remember again, it is listed in reverse chronological order. Keep it relevant. Your qualification and the date you completed it. Okay, where you completed it. This is important because, okay, we're going to get to the red flags just now, but it's about finding gaps. Gaps in your education, gaps in your work experience, but we'll get to that now. Work experience, again, keep it relevant. Put the period of employment on there. And that is also, again, for the gaps. And I want to see how long, or it impacts how long you stay at a company. So this is exactly what we were talking about right in the beginning. Okay, skills and achievements. Keep it relevant. We've also mentioned that. No more than 5. Okay, no, so pick your best 5 and you run with that. Your interests and hobbies, again, keep it relevant. No more than 5. And then other relevant information, anything that you feel like, oh, I think I want you to know this. This is going to give me a good chance of getting this position. And then your references, like we said, the name, the title, the position, or the relevance. Why are you giving this person as the reference? And their contact information. Okay. Balance of information. Is it relevant? And when is enough enough? So this comes back to Charlene, a lot of your questions. Yes, a shortened CV is not always the best option to go for because it can look like, what have you done for like 5 years? Because there's a whole 5-year gap in your CV. But that can be covered, like I said, in your cover letter, and make sure that everything is relevant to the position. And this is exactly what the recruiters said now. recruitment managers get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of CVs and applications to work through. So make sure yours stand out. If I have read through 98 CVs, a 5-pager is going to make me feel a little bit overwhelmed. I wouldn't necessarily say bored, because I want to, from my perspective as a recruiter, I don't want you to be punished because I'm tired. So I will feel like you deserve the same quality of my attention for your 5-page CV than the person did in the beginning who submitted a 5-page CV, and it was the first one I reviewed when I was still excited and motivated. Okay, so it takes a lot out of us. So always ask yourself, when is enough enough? Okay, session 4, edit and clean up. So this is going to be a very quick one.
Hi, sorry,
Ooh,
before we move to session 4.
It's such a fright now.
Sorry. So
Yes.
Loma asked, under which part should one include driver's license?
Under your personal information. So you will go my name or full names. We're going to get, I think I do mention that as well. Like when I mentioned the nationality, so you'll be like driver's license code 8 or code B. I don't know which codes there are. I've just got the normal one for a normal car. But driver's license, definitely you do put it on there in your personal information. Okay.
Then I see Katundu has his hand up.
Yes, Katundu.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, in case when you put reference of someone who does not pick their calls, like for instance, you try to call them, they don't pick up, then you realize maybe they don't usually pick up their phones when someone is contacting them.
That's why you don't just give one telephone number, you also give an email address. So that there are always 2 means of contacting them. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
You are welcome. Okay, so moving on to session 4, editing and clean up. So first of all, check your spelling and grammar. Okay, if you tell me you are an excellent communicator and you pay attention to detail and you have excellent communication skills, verbal, written, non-verbal communication skills, and I pick up so many spelling and grammar errors in your CV, I am not going to believe you. Okay, I am not going to believe you. Proofread for conciseness. Okay, how does it flow? How does it read? Does it seem like it's what would you call it? This Hakensteek. It's like, or does it flow nicely? Okay, did I put everything in that I need to have in there? Did I tick all of the boxes? Okay. Check your spelling and your grammar. Read through your CV as a recruiter. So read through your CV, anticipate like questions. If you are reading through your CV and you see like, ooh, there's something that might be, for somebody who doesn't know me, this might raise questions. Is there a way you can fix that? Is it going to be a problem or is it not going to be a problem? So always read through your CV as if though you are the recruiter. Check your spelling and your grammar. Get someone else to check your spelling and your grammar. There is very little things that immediately puts me off approaching somebody or shortlisting somebody or continuing with someone on the recruitment process than poor spelling and grammar. And then check the format and the quality. Okay, so remember that in the beginning we said your CV is basically your CV is your corporate identity, and it tells me so much more about who you are as a potential recruit than just the words on there, than just your experience and your education. The format and the quality of your document, that is your personal attempt. That's what you are submitting to me to get the job. And the quality thereof is telling me what the quality, the minimum, or no, the maximum quality of the work that you will submit to me once I give you the job. So if it is scanned in poor quality and I can't read it, and your documents are scanned in skew and half the things are being cut off on your degree and your academic history and things like that, that is poor quality. And unfortunately, when I'm doing the checks, you won't be considered past that point. Okay, if I'm struggling to read your CV, if I have to spend more time than necessary to find out information that I would expect to be on there because it was cut off, you are not paying attention to detail. You are not showing due diligence. And then I immediately have a lower expectation of how you will perform as an employee. Check the application requirements. Which documents are required? Okay. Must it be certified? In which format must the application be submitted? So if I send, usually when I send out a shortlisting email, I will say submit the following documents in one PDF document. Okay. If you send me a Word document, CV, and then all the other things, separate attachments, then you are not meeting the requirements. Okay. In which format must the application be submitted? And PDF is always, like, I want to say, a safe bet. But sometimes it can be like a video application that must be submitted. So always read the format requirements. On which platform must the application be submitted? I cannot tell you how many times we say here at our company that we only accept online applications, and then we still have prospective candidates drop off their documents downstairs at reception, or they ask to see you just to hand it to you personally. Okay, we do not consider. Always check what platform the applications must be submitted on. What is the application deadline? Again, we actually had this week, Nicole, where we had a candidate who said that they can't apply. There's a problem with the submit button or the submission button or the application button or something. But the application's already closed last week. Okay, so what is the application deadline? Okay, let's look at some yes.
Hi, Luzanne.
Hi.
Charlene here again. I'm not going to talk long. Listen, now that we're on the session 4, we're coming to editing and cleanup. When you say, for instance, office administration from this year to this year, you kind of give your duties and responsibilities. Do I bullet point or do I write it out? Do I say I answer calls?
Bullet points.
Bullet points, perfect. Okay, no, it's
bullet points. Okay, you're
okay,
welcome.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Okay, session 5, common pitfalls to avoid. A low quality CV. That means poorly scanned documents, errors, timeline discrepancies. Okay, so if you tell me you have 7 years of experience, but on your timeline, I only see 3 years of experience. If you were 1 year on, 1 year off, 1 year on, 1 year off, 1 year on, 1 year off, your off years do not count as experience. Okay, so timeline discrepancies. Inconsistency. So if I have in one place you are saying you are busy with your degree, and then, or on your cover letter you say you're busy with your degree, but then on your CV you're putting the degree as your highest qualification. Inconsistency like that. Or now here you are using this font and here you're using that font, and then it's bold and then it's not bold, and then this is like bigger and this is smaller, and your CV just seems a little bit of a mess. Inconsistency. Okay? Cluttered and
Miss
it's
Ann?
difficult to read. Yes.
Oki has his hand up.
Okay.
So if you'd like to ask your question.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so I think, sorry, I just want to say we've got 3 minutes left, but we've got 3 minutes left, but I don't have like a next meeting, so I'm still here. So those of you that have to go, you can just sign off, but for the rest of you, we can continue. So yes, okay, yes, okay.
Hi, Ms. San. Just a quick
Hi.
question. When it comes to educational background, let's say I'm applying, there's a job that is requiring, let's say, a diploma or a degree, and I'm a fresh graduate from university with an honors or something, but the job actually requires you to have, it's actually for a diploma or a degree.
Mm-hmm.
I am putting my educational background on the CV. Uh, is it allowable for me to say, just let's say I do have a diploma, but I continued my studies until an honors? Am I allowed to just put to the level of diploma or degree as required in the job
No.
description?
Mm-mm. I would consider that as the thing is, a lot of times with a diploma, I know you're probably referring to being cautious on the being overly qualified for a
Yes, yes,
position, and
yes.
what we were talking about, like the job market being really tough at the moment. As a recruiter, I would find that to be, and this is not personally aimed at you, it's a very good question. I would find that to be unethical. I would find that as to be a misrepresentation, because somebody, if you are honest and you say, I actually have an honors, you give me as the recruiter all the information I need to make an informed decision. Okay? If you were to be dishonest or withhold information, which is being dishonest on the CV, then what you are doing is you might get the job, but you are taking it away from somebody who meets the criteria or who meets the qualifications or the requirements, right? And somebody with a diploma as a highest qualification will not be able to get the same job as somebody with an honors degree. So you are now hurting or taking it away from somebody who actually met the requirements for that specific position. And that is a misrepresentation, and you are taking my choice as a recruiter away from me. And should I find out about that later, from a recruiter side, I will now, even if I gave you the job and now I find out about it, I would feel like you duped me, you tricked me.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. Just a quick comment, because remember sometimes us as graduates, you study for a diploma and then you still continue until you probably come to an
Yes.
honors. Sometimes when you enter the job market as an unexperienced graduate, you sometimes feel like you need, or personally you need to start at the entry level of that industry just to learn the basics, or just to get that basics of the
Yes.
industry
The
from a
practical,
diploma.
yes.
Yes, from a diploma's level of the job entry. So that's why I asked that question, because should I get the opportunity to get to the interview, am I allowed? Can I then say, look, I have an honors, but I am actually from my personal level of how do I put this word? Uh, uh, from my personal level of growth, where I want to grow in this industry, I want to enter this job as this level of a diploma or a degree, but I do have an honors. Will that make up for me excluding the honors in the CV?
Okay. So basically, I would cover all of that in the cover letter and not wait for it to get to the interview process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. So let's move on. Overselling yourself or embellishing your accomplishments. And now we can go back and just like switch it around and saying underselling yourself or minimizing your accomplishments. Both will be considered as not really being honest. Okay. Outdated certified documents. Okay, so certified documents are usually between 3 and 6 months validity. So if you are bringing me documents that you certified in 2020 January, in November of 2021, I would feel like the effort for you to just go to the police station to recertify your documents, unless, of course, there's a situation where the originals have been lost, but then there will be a declaration and things like that. So outdated certified documents, again, it just shows your attention to detail and the effort that you are putting in. Not submitting in the correct format, so we've covered that. Using slang. Okay, using slang like choose or mixed language or text language in your CV. Anything that's not professional communication, basically. Okay. Overly editing with bold or underline. It is distracting. Okay. Using a template and not removing sections you don't complete. I'm all for using a template. Make sure you use it correctly. Make sure you complete all the fields there, and those that you don't complete, you delete. Okay. Making a poor impression. Okay, so now I've gone through your CV, or I'm busy going through your CV. Making a poor impression, and I am not even going, I cannot make this up. This happens. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not just thinking about this when I'm at home like, ooh, what can I say? This is really things that I experience, I want to say, almost on a weekly basis. Okay. Not being reachable. So I'm phoning you, you're an excellent candidate. I'm phoning, I'm not getting through to you. I'm emailing, I'm not getting a response. I'm not circling back because there are 5 other highly qualified, very good candidates. Okay, so not being reachable. Harassing the recruiter. Okay, that's the opposite of the first one. So if you submitted your documents and now you send me an email and you say, okay, I've submitted my documents, and have you received it? I don't know. I don't know if I received it. It's an electronic process. Most of these things are electronic processes. Most of the recruiters get hundreds of applications. And up until you have literally made an impression, also a little insider tip, the applications are not actually reviewed until after the application date closes. Okay, as to give everybody the same opportunity. Otherwise, I can make up my mind without having all of the information, meaning I haven't seen all of the candidates. Now you're phoning me or emailing me. I replied to you, you know what? I haven't yet checked it, but candidates will be contacted after the closing date of applications. The day the applications close, you send me an email. I'm like, the applications only closed yesterday. We are in the process of reviewing. The next day you phone me. Have I gotten to it yet? Like, I have, I've seen your CV, we've received it, thank you very much. The next day you phone me. 2 days later, you show up at my office. Then I tell you, you know, we are still in the process. Then you don't get shortlisted, so I send you an email to say, or actually the rule of thumb is if you don't hear anything within 2 weeks, you should consider your application to be unsuccessful. 2 weeks from the closing date, okay, not 2 weeks from your submission. And then when you are unsuccessful, we say, you know, I'm terribly sorry. If you haven't heard anything, then you have been unsuccessful. And then you also start harassing. Can I apply again? When can I apply again? When is the new applications opening? Okay. It takes a lot of time. Because remember, recruiters in most Namibian businesses, that's not like they just come in and they do recruitment. They've got completely different portfolios and maybe working with a lot of departments and a lot of portfolios, and recruitment being only one of them. Okay, poor communication, and I'm going to put that one with slang and seeming uninterested. Okay, if I phone you, if I'm phoning and I ask, so you answer the phone, hello? So I'm like, hi, is this Nicole speaking? Or I say, hi, this is Rizan phoning from BDO. Is this Nicole speaking? And you go, Had I not been the professional I am, I would just say like, okay, no, thank you, wrong number, and hang up. Or if you send me an email and you say, just this email, I'm honors student looking for articleship. Thank you. No, I'm not even going to reply to that. Okay? No greeting, no introducing yourself, no respect, no effort. Or if I phone you and I say, hi, you know, or I send you an email and I say, congratulations, you've been shortlisted for the position of this, whatever we advertised, and please submit the following documents, and I give you the whole list, and you reply to me, will do, thanks, sent from my Samsung. I've just spent 15 minutes drafting a really energetic, nice, welcoming, warm email to you, and you're just going, okay, thanks, will do. Not, dear Lizanne, not thank you for reviewing my application. You don't even have to thank them for, well, it's good to thank them for reviewing your application, but just seeming a little uninterested, or okay. That's another one of my favorites. Okay. Just that, nothing else, just okay. You're not replying to an SMS. You are not replying to a WhatsApp. You are not speaking to a friend. Okay, this seems like I'm scolding you guys. I'm not. I'm just, these are things that really, really happen more often than not. Okay. Very little effort. Okay, so you are just scanning your documents. I can see you didn't even check. You show up for the, or you show up, you look unkept, unput together, just not making an effort. Getting frustrated or rude with the recruiter. I once took the phone call of a potential recruit who applied for a position, and then I informed them, actually I was working on a public holiday, and on the public holiday I sent out emails to say, you know, I'm terribly sorry, but unfortunately your application was unsuccessful, and then even went as far to say like, these are possible reasons, you know. Maybe you didn't meet the requirements, or you don't have the minimum qualification, or your email correspondence. I give a whole list of possible reasons. And on that public holiday, I had a potential recruit phone me and say to me, yeah, but now what do I expect him to do because he doesn't have that qualification? I don't know. Yeah, but now he must start all over. What can we give him for with the qualification that he has? And he started yelling at me to the point where I literally stopped this person and I said, you are now burning a bridge that you might need to cross in the future. So getting frustrated or rude with the recruiter. Like I said, it's not their only portfolio, most likely. And selecting the right candidates to be the right fit can be, no, not can be, it is, from a recruiter point of view, also a very exhausting and a very tough job to tell people that, sorry, you did not get the job. Okay, so always understand and be respectful. Even if you get upset, always be respectful. Lying, okay, so lying we've covered, or dishonesty we've covered, and lying and all of that, misrepresenting, we've covered that. Missing the deadline, so we've covered that. And addressing your documents to another company or another person, we've addressed that. And then not showing up for the interview. I once had a potential recruit that I was very excited about, and we had the whole interview committee or the recruitment committee sitting upstairs. So that's like a partner, the HR partner, myself as a certified registered auditor, CA, risk and compliance officer, like a whole recruitment committee. And I was so excited about this person, and this person just didn't show up. Spoke to them on the phone a couple of times prior, you know, had each other's numbers, all of that. And when I eventually reached this person said that I think they were locked in the house and they were too scared to let me know or phone me. And immediately what I hear is you are diverting responsibility. You are negating being held accountable because you were scared of me, which puts the responsibility on me. I'm the reason you didn't show up, or not didn't show up, why you didn't communicate. So you were not taking responsibility. Okay, so not showing up for the interview. If you cannot make it, you always inform them. Okay. Tips on winning your interview. Okay, so now we're getting to winning the interview. Be early. Be aware of your surroundings. So this one here, don't be sitting there like scratching your ear, rubbing your eyes, you know, falling asleep, yawning, you're going to swallow the whole building. Be aware of your surroundings. Dress accordingly. Okay, you are applying for a professional position. If you are applying for a professional position, look professional. Be prepared. Pen, paper, you know, be prepared. Anticipate questions. Communicate effectively. Know your career goals. Salary expectations. Be ready with your own questions. Okay, so let's just backtrack here to salary expectations. If you are looking at your salary expectations, right, should you bring it up? Should you not? So generally, this is just knowing your salary expectations. Okay, knowing your salary expectations, because if it is asked in the interview, then you can answer either by saying, having experience and having paid your dues and all of that. You can mention like market related, this is the salary, so this comes into being prepared. So you would expect similar or a market related salary. Or you can say being new to the industry, having just recently qualified with very little experience, your top priority is not necessarily the salary, but more the development and the experience that you will gain. Okay. Be ready with your own questions. Make the most of your one-on-one time. Breathe. Breathe. And after the interview, always send a thank you note. Okay. So let's look at a couple of commonly asked interview questions. So I just want to say again, the training is recorded. So it will be available afterwards on YouTube. Nicole will upload it on YouTube. So for those of you that really have to go, I do apologize that we are running over time. And you are welcome to come back and watch it on YouTube at a later stage. And my email address will also be on there, so you can contact me for questions later on as well. Okay, so commonly asked interview questions. Number 1, tell me about yourself. Okay. So have you ever forgotten everything about yourself? You don't know who you are. You don't know what language you speak. It's just like, who am I even as a human? Okay. So start with your name, with where you live. Give a short overview of your education and a short overview of your work experience and a little bit of family details just to make it personal. So if somebody asks me, so tell me about yourself, my response would be something like, my name is Luzanne Pretorius. I am originally from Cape Town. But my husband is a born Namibian. We moved to Namibia 8 years ago. I have an honors degree in practical theology, and I have 3 years experience in the training and development field of HR. Okay, so that is like a short overview. I have covered my family, or my little bit about my family, a little bit of my work, a little bit of my history, and where I come from. Okay. Commonly asked interview questions. Number 2, why are you looking for a job change? Okay, or what did you learn from your previous job? Or why are you looking for a new job? Okay, so that's just variations of the same question. Oh, sorry, I didn't. Okay. Related to your career goals.
Ms.
So I would say yes.
Sorry, can I quickly disturb you? I've raised my hand for a question.
Oh, yes. Sorry, if you can just unmute and then you can speak, because I can't see the raised hands on my end.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yes, no problem.
I just have a couple of questions. I don't want you to continue, so because I might have too many of them. So, first one is on the cover letter. When you are sending your application and you are writing your cover letter, or maybe you are sending it through an email, when it comes to addressing where you are sending it to, let's say you are sending it through an email and the email is just BDO at or recruitment at BDO.na. And normally there is always a contact where if you have questions, you contact Ms. Lezan or Ms. Nicole. Do I say dear dear sir or madam, or do I say dear Ms. Nicole, as put on the advert? The second question, if I may say them all, and then you can answer them at once. The second question, if you missed a call, let's say you missed a call from a potential employer, do you still have the chance to get back to them? Let's say after 5 minutes you missed your call because you just went into the bathroom, and do you still have the chance to call them? If you call them back, do you still have the chance to get the interview in the interview line? The third one, this one is from my personal experience. I was called for an interview and they scheduled me for 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They called me and they said, "Where are you?" And I said, "Where I am." And it was in a different town. So this person said, "Okay, since you are from a different town, we will try to reschedule you to a different time, to an earlier time than 5 o'clock." They gave me a schedule to say it's 5 o'clock, and they said, "We will call you back to reschedule you." Do I call them back to say, "No, you did not reschedule me," or or did you forget to call me back, or do I just show up for the scheduled time that was given? The last one, I think this one is on salary expectation. Let's say I am a fresh graduate and I am working somewhere as just to gain a bit of industrial experience. And then I get an opportunity to really get to a position where I want. And the salary, we go through the interview and we did not bring up the salary expectation. Upon, if I am offered the job and they give me the contract, and the salary I am getting is lower, much lower than the salary I was getting at the job that I was having just to get the industrial experience. Do I have room for negotiation on the salary, or can I just take the job and hope that, yeah, I will grow within? Because that is probably the job I want, and that is where I want to grow myself and have that personal development in that position. Yeah, those are the questions I had.
Okay, great. So let's start at the beginning with your cover letter. If you do know the person that or if you know who the person is you should be addressing it to, then you use their name. Okay. If you are unsure, you can say dear sir or dear madam. But that's why I said you can always phone as well to ask who should I address this to. So you can find out, and you can it's always better to address it to the person. Okay, rather than just dear sir or dear madam. Okay, so that's the answer on the cover letter. Then the second question was, just remind me again, the second question was?
The second question was if I missed a call from a
Yes, okay. Okay, so if you missed the call because you just stepped out for a second, you can always phone back. Or what I would do, okay, so if it's a landline, but a lot of businesses look like cell phone numbers now with the 0833. So I would say always phone back. Yes, definitely, because sometimes it does happen that you just missed the call and you stepped out. So definitely phone back and you will still be in the running. Okay. When you are phoning back, always remember to ask if they've got time to speak to you. If it's a good time, you are returning their call and you just want to find out if it's still a good time for them to speak. Okay. Then in terms of the rescheduling, yes, I do follow up with them. It can be, so something that has happened to me before is that emails have actually not gone out. And once we send an email, because if we come back to recruitment only being a part of what you do and not your actual entire job, the only thing you do 24/7, it can be that emails may have, so we had this whole thing where emails were blocked. So our emails wouldn't go to certain email addresses due to an update in our firewall or security systems. And it was mayhem because time will go by and then you hear people think you didn't get back to them, although you actually did, but the email was blocked. So always do send up a follow-up email, pleasant, just say, I haven't on my side. So something that I always do is I say, according to my records, I have not received this. If it is an oversight on my part, I do apologize. Would you please kindly send it again? Or if it is not an oversight on my part, can you please, can we have a discussion, or, can we continue where we left it last? So that you're not accusing anyone, but you are moving the process forward. And then last question in terms of salary expectations. Yes, you can always ask for negotiations. So if you get offered a salary that is way lower than what you expected, what I would suggest is that you do say, is this the final offer, or is there room for negotiation on the salary? It's a little bit lower than what I expected. And before I accept, I just want to find out if this is the final number or if there is room for negotiation. Again, you're not just saying no, but you are, and if they say there's no room for negotiation on the starting salary, you are completely within your rights to respectfully ask what the growth of the salary prospect is over, let's say, the next 3 to 5 years. Does that answer all of your questions?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Okay. So why are you looking for a job change? I am grateful to my previous organization. I learned a lot while working there. Even if it was negative, even if you left because it was terrible and it sucked and you couldn't wait to get out of there, you would have still learned a lot while working there. You would have learned what you don't want. Okay, you would have learned how to cope under really bad circumstances. So it's not a lie to say that you learned a lot while working there. Change is necessary for us to enhance our skills and grow, both personally, professionally, and financially. Remember, if any of you are applying to us, I will know if you are taking my lines, ne? Okay. Both personally, professionally, and financially, I've reached the top of my career path at my previous organization, and your organization is a great platform where I can learn more and further build my career. Never, ever, ever, ever badmouth your previous organization, ever. Okay? Under no circumstances, ever. Even if the recruiter is like kind of pushing for it because it's the competition, don't ever, ever, ever badmouth your previous institution. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Be upfront and honest. Show that you are aware of your weaknesses and working on them while focusing on your strengths. Don't be arrogant, but also don't break yourself down. Be open and real. So something I can say is I am honest, self-motivated, and a hard-working person. I have a positive attitude towards my career and my life, but sometimes when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I can be a procrastinator, and I'm also really, really impatient. Okay, so that is me. I have strengths and I have weaknesses. Commonly asked interview question number 4. What are your salary requirements? As a fresher, like I said, you don't share your salary expectations, but experienced candidates may share their salary expectations. Always make sure you know the basic, or you have the basic knowledge of salary norms for your position or qualification. Yes. Something that's also good to say is I expect remuneration in accordance with my skills and experience, as well as industry norms, which will fulfill my economical needs. You cannot take a job if you cannot pay your bills, kind of thing. Okay. Commonly asked interview questions number 5. What are your career goals? So tell the interviewer your short-term goals as well as your long-term goals. So my short-term goal is to get a job in an organization. So this is when I started here at this firm. My short-term goal was to get a job in an organization where I could utilize my skills and advance on my career path. Short term, I wanted to learn as much as I possibly can and build myself as a professional. And long term, I would like to be a leader in the organization, holding a senior position and being an integral part of the organization's growth and success. Okay, so that's a short-term goal and a long-term goal. Commonly asked question, interview question number 6. Why should I hire you? Okay. Share your knowledge, share your work experience, tell the interviewer about your skills relating to the job, and tell them what you will personally bring to the position. So let's say you're new, you can say, so we covered this a little bit earlier. As I am new in the market, I have theoretical knowledge, but I can do hard work for your organization, and I will put all of my efforts towards the progress of your organization. I am hungry for success, I am eager to learn, and I am ready to commit myself to this position. Okay. For a senior, you can say, I have experience. I have learned what works and what doesn't work. I have learned to adapt. There are some experience that, it comes only with working in the industry. You cannot learn it at university. Okay. Commonly asked interview question number 7. Why do you want to work for us? Okay, so I asked this question because I want to see if you know what we are about. So tell the interviewer what you like about the company related to your long-term career goals. When I read about your company, I found that my skills are matching your requirements and I share your company's values and vision. During my research, I found that your company has great culture and that you are involved in a lot of community and charity projects, which I am extremely passionate about. I want to work for a company that takes care of its employees and its wider community, which is evident in your social media presence. Okay, so that's like the research that you've done. And then lastly, do you have any questions for me? Okay. First of all, you thank the interviewer for their time. Have your questions prepared. Anything you might need to know in order to make an informed decision that was not addressed during the interview. So this will basically also address the salary expectation thing. But for instance, job timing. When does work start? When does work end? Is there any like special time off or overtime, etc.? Job location, traveling, will it be required? How long at a time? And. Allowances, petrol allowance, cell phone allowance, any type of allowances that are made, transport facilities, leave policies, etc. Okay. So those are things that you might want to know before you take the job. Okay, so we are getting almost to, this is our last slide. So session 7, you're hired or not. When you get the job, be on time, dress appropriately, have a plan on retaining information. Okay, so how are you going to optimize your training? One thing that I always tell my new recruits is record. Inform the person who's giving you the training that you will be recording it to make your notes later on. If there's anything that they will be doing regularly or that's NB, let them tell you and make a note for that timestamp on the voice recording. Okay. And then you can go and sit down and make your notes in your own time, so you're not splitting your attention between trying to write really fast and listening and keeping up and all of that. Spend time with your colleagues, ask questions. Don't say yes if you should be saying no. This is especially when somebody who's giving you training asks, do you understand? Okay? Do not say yes if you should be saying no, because it will come back to hurt you. Use the first 2 weeks to invest in your future by participating and making a strong impression, being self-aware and making yourself memorable. Start building your relationships. So basically those 4 points or those 5 points say participate in meetings, bring your opinion, bring your input, but don't overpower, don't overpower, and be self-aware in the sense of when you are being overpowering, when you are being overly confident, when you are coming across almost, I want to say, as arrogant, which is especially more possible in new management positions, where you feel like at my last job we did it like this, or when I was studying, or when I was a manager, this is the way we did it. Okay, that can come across as arrogant, although you might mean it as helpful. So that is being self-aware. Being self-aware is understanding how you are also being perceived. Make yourself memorable and start building your relationships. When you don't get the job, okay, because that also happens, ask for constructive feedback if it's not offered freely. What could I have done differently? Yes, ask for constructive feedback if it was not offered freely. And see it as a learning opportunity. Stay motivated and apply the feedback that you received. We actually had a lady that applied, and there was a few spelling errors in her otherwise really good CV. So she had a really good CV, qualified, everything was going well, but there were a couple of mistakes. So we ended up reviewing the CV, and in the panel decided that we weren't going to interview her. Because of the attention to detail in the CV. So I sent the email, and the email basically said, unfortunately, you won't be continuing in the recruitment process. Here are some of the reasons. It's not an exhaustive list, but it's some of the reasons. And then, she got the email and then 2 months, or not a month later, we had another position open up, and we remembered, we were like, oh, but this is a really strong CV, so let's phone this person to come in for an interview. She came in for the interview, and she said, when she sat down, she said she took the feedback in the initial rejection email and she applied it to her CV. She picked up on some errors and spelling mistakes, so she fixed it and brought us a new CV. And she was hired on the spot, because she was able to take feedback and apply it. Okay, she was literally hired on the spot. Ask if you should apply again in future, but remember, don't harass the recruiter. Remain respectful. Actively work towards increasing your employability. This goes your social media presence, your LinkedIn profile, your networking, getting to know people in the industry, building your knowledge, building your skills, maybe doing extra short courses, etc. Actively every day work towards increasing your employability. Thank the recruiter for their time and inform them if you would like to remain shortlisted for future opportunities, because sometimes you would have met all of the requirements and you would have been a really strong candidate, and we would really, or the recruiter would have really, really, really wanted to hire you, but there was just another person that was a little bit stronger and a little bit better. Okay, and that also sometimes happens. So ask them if you would like to remain shortlisted for future opportunities. And then finally and lastly, if you didn't get the job, keep your chin up and don't give up. Keep working hard towards achieving your dreams. And we are done from my side. So do you have any questions, discussions? I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere right now. I like to just stick around for a couple of minutes after training sessions where we can open the floor, and we will actually now just stop the recording. But anyone that wants to discuss now, they're welcome to.
Okay, sorry, maybe I'm taking up.
No problem.